Okay, Mayor Agates, we are live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting this Tuesday, the 6th of July for Perth East Council. I'll call the meeting to order, and if everyone could please bow their heads for a moment of reflection. Thank you. We need a motion to confirm the agenda. Is there anything anyone wishes to add to the agenda at this time? No? Okay, so a motion to accept the agenda as circulated. Moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can declare that now or as we go along in the meeting. We do have 30 items in our agenda. Is there any item anyone would like pulled or have questions on? Hugh?
5.1.12.
Okay. Any other one? Andrew?
Can we just have a brief discussion on 5.1.11, please?
Okay. Anyone else? Jeremy?
I don't have an item to pull, but just bringing the attention to the amount of correspondence items here, or the amount of items that are on the consent agenda. Every time that we support one of these things that gets sent on, 10, 11 years of council, I've never seen this many items on a consent agenda before. So just being cognizant of the things that we support and send on to everyone else and the powers that be, because these consent agendas are going to continue to become much longer, I think, in the future.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any other items? I'd like 5.19 pulled as well. Okay, so Andrew had questions on 5.11. So let's go there first, Andrew, and we'll see if we can answer your questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess just looking at the content, the heading more than anything. So we're seeing places like Calgary rescinding their mask bylaw. I'm just wondering, is there any indication of when we're going to turn the corner in this area? I don't know if anybody sits on the health unit in this group, but there's a lot of, inquiries about, and I don't have the answers. I refer them to the health unit, but it doesn't seem that anybody really knows where we're going with this and any solid timelines. It looks like some of the workplace restrictions are slightly less than they were a while back. But does anybody have any fresh information?
So we had a meeting on Monday morning, the emergency management meeting with the county and St. Mary's in Stratford. And that question was asked during our meeting. And I believe the answer was that direction will come from the province. And they will tell us when people can stop wearing the mask and what situations or at time. So Teresa and Ashley were there. Is that what you said? Well, or Bill was there too? That Teresa's on your head, so
yes, yeah. that was what that was said at the emergency control group meeting.
That answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so we will approve all the consent items then, except for 12 and 19. We'll pull them out and deal with them separately. So if I could have a motion to approve those items. Moved by Jerry, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carry. Okay, so Hugh asked for 5.12 to be pulled out. Hugh, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, usually something like this, I believe, is not in our consent agenda because do we not usually have to give some kind of response to this more than just receive for information? Do they not require us to say we're fine with it, or we have concerns or things like that?
Yes, we do. Susanna, I see you're with us, but you're not on the screen. Maybe you could answer the question.
Sure. I could, would it be helpful if I advise you what the correspondence is with regards to, and you could provide a resolution to the County of Wellington if you like?
Okay. You, is that all right? Sorry, go ahead.
The Planning Act requires that neighboring municipalities be circulated with regards to an intention to update their official plan. So the correspondence is with regards to the County of Wellington initiating a 5-year review of the County of Wellington official plan. And they're seeking comments from neighboring municipalities with regards to any concerns or comments or issues that Perth East may wish to have addressed through the County of Wellington official plan update. So I would suggest that Perth East doesn't have any comments at this point.
Okay.
Okay. I just to what Hugh brought up, like, so you have looked at the report then to say that we have no concerns at all from the planning department, or should we be sending it back to you to make comments by the 16th, which I believe was in the letter, and then council, you can send the comments to as well to council, because that's not our wheelhouse. We're not the planners, you are. So we need to know, you know, if you've looked at it, or how in depth you've looked at it, or what's going on with it.
Yeah, with respect to, I don't know if it, if the township was concerned with regard to a specific policy area, that would assist with a review or providing comments regarding the County of Wellington official plan. They will be updating all of the policies in the official plan. So the enormity of the task would make it challenging to provide that breadth of comments. I think that because the land is outside of the township of Perth East, it's unlikely that the township would have comments with regards to the county's OP update.
Correct, but I do believe that we have something in Perth East. We do have a policy that it is to go to the staff to do a report on these kind of items, even if we don't have comments to make. So maybe in the future we could see them as a report instead of coming in the consent agenda. So Hugh, do you want to do anything with this, or what would you like to do?
At this time, probably just send a letter that that we received it and that we have no comment at this time.
Okay. So would you like to move that?
I will move that.
Okay, and do we have a seconder? Amanda? Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and I asked for 519 to be pulled out, and that's regards to cemetery funding. So the municipality has quite a few cemeteries that when the churches are no longer there, they're sending them to the municipality. Unfortunately, we're not getting a lot of money to help upkeep the cemeteries. So this resolution speaks to the fact that they're asking for money from the province to help some of these municipalities pay for some of the expenses. And some of the cemeteries are full. Some of the cemeteries we get perpetual care. And mind you, that perpetual care is not near enough to help pay for what it costs to keep the cemeteries up. So I don't know if there's anybody else, any of the rest of you would like to support this, that we petition the government. Daryl?
No, I'm a little familiar with cemeteries here in perpetual care. Of course, we manage the Hurlick Cemetery there. We have a pretty good community there. That perpetual care sits on quite a bit of money too, I think. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It does. I mean, at the end of the day, they get full. We have to maintain them. We all got to go somewhere. If there is just another direction and route to, I do agree, if we could get some funding for this, it would be nice. Yeah. You're looking at making a motion there, Rhonda?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be something to consider for sure. And just see in that motion, see what kind of money is available in that perpetual care. They're sitting on quite a bit. I know that.
Well, some are, Daryl, and some aren't. So the church,
Okay.
the perpetual care was very little.
Okay.
You got a free grave, and if you belong to the church in good standing, but the perpetual care was not very much, right? Because the church looked after it. So some of them are and some of them aren't.
Okay. And that's where maybe is if the church is active or not. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So are you willing to move that? So
Move
by
the
Daryl. We have a seconder. Amanda? Okay, so I know Jeremy's had his hand up. Do you want to speak, Jeremy?
Yeah, in the motion, we should be asking the province about a long-term strategy for taking care of these places, because we do have a lot in our township. And if we're to take them all on, eventually that's just gonna, the upkeep is gonna come from the tax base, because those perpetual care funds aren't gonna be enough in 20, 30, 50 years. So I think, probably now is the time that the province looks at a long-term strategy to take care of these places. So I don't know if there's a way to include that in the motion, but I think that's something we need to bring up.
Okay, Amanda, did you have something you want to add?
Just a comment. I think this is really important. Both the mayor and myself did receive correspondence from someone who, does look at the cemeteries that are under our care and had some feedback. And so I think, there is a certain level of expectation by the public in terms of how they like to see things looked after. But again, the rural landscape is changing. And I think it's important to bring it forward to the government's attention. If we don't do that, then of course nothing could possibly be done about it. So I think it's a good idea. So that's why I seconded the motion.
Okay, Hugh?
And further to Councillor Matheson, I think if we just send it to our MPP and whichever provincial minister would be responsible for this, I don't know if we need to send it to everybody or like everybody in all the municipalities or things like that. I think that would kind of keep the paperwork to a minimum. Just depends what everybody else thinks.
Okay. So who do you want to send it to then? Do you want to send it to who Hugh just said, or do you want it to send to all municipalities?
They do have a nice list on this motion: the Bereavement Authority of Ontario, the Minister of Government of Consumer Affairs, and the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, and the MPP.
Okay, so that's who you wish to send it to? Just going back to Jeremy's other comment, long-term strategy for looking after cemeteries. Does the mover and the seconder wish to add that comment to, or just send it the resolution supported as it is? Daryl, what would you like to do?
Here, yeah. No, yeah. We'll just leave it the way it is, I think.
Okay.
It's a tough one. The Bereavement Authority, they know these concerns. I know that. We got to just make sure we get it to the MPs.
Okay, Amanda, do you have something else you wanted to add?
I was just going to add that I would be in support of the wording of the long-term strategy, but I know the mover is not, and just wanted to make sure that the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing would be included in the letter as well. I think that is probably noteworthy, and the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, because the rural affairs portion is in that portfolio. I think it probably would make sense to capture the ministers where this might touch their ministry. I think it from a policy perspective, I think it kind of touches on a couple ministries. So especially if we're not, forwarding this on to all of the municipalities, I think just to if again, if Daryl was in support of that, I think it's important just to capture all those ministers that, it would be, perhaps touch point in their ministry and their portfolio.
Okay, is that good with you, Daryl?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay. All right. So is everybody confused now? So we're going to send a letter to all the agencies that are listed, and plus the other two that Amanda mentioned as well. Okay. Everyone that's in favor of that? Amanda, you're not in favor? Opposed? Sorry, Aaron. Okay. Now we're going to move to delegations. We have 2 delegations tonight, and the first one is from Ed Danon, Greg Wise, and Gavin Albrecht, and on about line 33. So if you are joining us, the floor is yours to give your presentation.
Good evening. I believe the clerk has to turn our video on.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
There we go.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and councilors, other delegations, staff, and online viewers. We are residents, farmers, and landowners on line 33 and between Perth Oxford Road and Road 107, which is currently gravel. And we've become aware that you are intending on paving this road via letter sent on June 4th. And so we have a few concerns. So first, the assessment was done on February 2021, which as we all know was during COVID time. So I'm sure there's some impact there and probably undervalued on the counts as to what the true traffic numbers really are. Now, another concern that we have was that there was really no agricultural consultation in this done with this study or this assessment. And, this is a very major agricultural area. There's a number of local farmers, not just on our road, but a number of custom operators that use this section of road in order to avoid using 7 and 8 and the Perth Oxford Road and, even line 29, which is quite narrow and is hard to navigate at times. So that there's the other thing that the assessment used was traffic studies in other areas of the province, namely Frontenac County, which they were saying, the speed impacts are going to increase, but they used a base speed of less than 80 kilometers an hour. Currently, the road condition being as in good shape as it is, the current speed is already excessive of the 80 kilometer an hour, and we feel that this is understating what the future speed is going to be on this road. So we have a number of concerns there. There is also no indication of what in the turns, how much of that traffic was going to be tractor trailer traffic. At the current moment, there's very little tractor trailer traffic on our road. And I think that paving it, or we all think that paving it will greatly increase that traffic as it comes east straight through. And, is the road base capable of handling that and on all 4 seasons, not just summer or, winter. It's the spring and fall where these roads will greatly deteriorate. One of the biggest concerns that we have is the speed of what's going to happen. We see what has happened on line 29. We understand that the speed limit there was reduced to 70 in order to mitigate that speed, excessive speed at the time. And that's one of the things that we would like to potentially see done here in order to prevent, if this road is done with safety measures done at the same time, it will be much easier for traffic to learn the new habits as it is done right off the start, rather than relearn at a later date. One of the other safety concerns that we thought, or one of the other safety mitigations that we thought could be done here, is potentially putting four-way stops at all of the intersections. A few of the intersections, namely 102 and 104, have limited visibility, lines of sight. And so it is very difficult to see oncoming traffic as it is now. You have to creep, like in the example of 104, coming from the north, the schoolhouse on the corner, you have to creep almost out onto the roadway before you can see to the west. And so, and 102, on the west side of 102, there's a significant dip in the road where you can literally hide vehicles in, that are basically traveling at 80 kilometers an hour. So at its, at the 102 intersection, there has been accidents there of people not being able to see the oncoming traffic. So there's also a number of grade improvements that we would suggest. Again, at 104, there to the west side of it, there's a significant grade drop. And if you are traveling westbound at any speed in excess of 80 kilometers an hour, you can actually catch air at that corner, because there's such a significant drop there. So we would suggest lowering that intersection somewhat and also filling in the west side there. And there's a number of dips and dives in the road that we all feel are safety concerns, in that as a gravel road, if you get heavy rain, you're not going to get the puddling, but as a paved road, you're going to get puddling, and these dips will fill with water, and you will get hydroplaning and potentially have cars leaving the road, and in that scenario. We all agree that the traffic is going to increase. We understand that. We are somewhat concerned that the township is taking on provincial and county traffic, i.e. 7 and 8 traffic, and line 33 to the west are county and provincial roads. And so we're concerned that we are taking the burden of traffic off of those roads and trying to support them with municipal tax-based dollars. And in doing this, we're not sure how long the township took to decide upon the paving and how thorough you're being in the preparation of the road base. We're concerned that there is going to be significant impacts to the long-term stability of the road, as was seen with line 29 when it was initially paved. There was very quick degradation of the road. And so we're worried about that happening here as well, if the base is not prepared properly and the road surface isn't thick enough. So none of that was, those specs weren't really put into the assessment. So we're a little concerned about that. Not saying that it's not there, we just don't know what they are. So as I said, we're looking for a number of safety measures. We really don't want this to become a tragedy-driven improvement process. We would like to do this ahead of time. We're very concerned that, there's going to be personal injury, property loss, not necessarily of those living here, but that is one of our biggest concerns. And so the four-way stops is one of our recommendations in order to slow traffic and potentially reduce the benefit of using our road and keep some of that provincial traffic and county traffic on those roads where they belong. As I mentioned, the grade safety improvements, those are also a concern. We aren't opposed to the road being paved per se. We more or less just want to make sure that all the due diligence is done as far as, structure, design, liability, because we are taking on a significant liability with this. If something happens due to improper design, we aren't opposed to it. We just want it to be done and done right. It should be done right, or you don't do it at all. That's kind of the way we've all been raised and the way we run our operations. And so we would like to see that kind of held through to this road design as well. So with that, I'd like to open it up make it as much of a discussion as possible so you can answer our questions and we can answer your questions. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the process is we open it up to questions of council, and then council will deal with it when we get to new business, and they'll make more comments now. So right now, if, do any council members have questions for these gentlemen? Jerry?
Thanks for that report or your delegation. Just, it's not a question for the presenters. It's a question for staff for a little more information. This, and I see Wes isn't here tonight, so obviously we'll have to send this back and get a report. But does staff know to recall that this request came from a number of years ago for that we need the improvements, or was it a request of some citizens or councilors? Can someone help me out how this quickly came about? Unless we have to wait till the report comes, but if someone has a quick answer, I'm just curious.
Jake, do you want to comment?
Yeah, like I don't know when this was initially requested to be paved. It was in the forecast to be paved next year. And then of course we came across some funding. So that's what pushed up that timeline. It has been like, we actually had a geotechnical investigation done on it prior. So it's been in the works now for a little while. What prompted it to get initially paved? I believe that comes down to maintenance costs. And there's obviously an issue of dust on that road too, which is coming from the volume of traffic that already travels it. So I think a combination of things kind of adds up to the need to have it paved.
Okay, Jerry?
Okay, thanks, Jake. So just pointing out those from 107 west, the speed limit on the currently paved section is 80. I just checked that out. So that's 80 right now. So yeah, I think reducing that to 70 would be a good idea. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Harold?
Yeah, no, just a few things here. I'll maybe talk on a couple points here. First being the speed and related to speeding. I know on line 29, yes, it was adjusted down to 70. I know a big thing was though is getting through to the community and the citizens of that road is to not be shy and get on the phone and phone the OPP. They told us that, I recall at council and a couple open meetings we had on that, and that was a big help. And just a few people from the road, they called, they came and they acted. And I know Andrew has a story. There's some gentleman that was working his car, drive to work, but they came and took his car then for speeding. It was quite interesting, and there's been a few of them since we adjusted it to 70. And I think it should have started sooner with the phone calls and just the presence of the cops there. That's really helping stuck in a lot of people's mind. And I'll see them about once every couple months do a small blitz. And that road is right under control now. So yeah, to take this to 70 right away, I don't know. I don't want to make those calls. It's not for me, and I don't even want to make any suggestions, that's for sure. But I know the presence of the OPP and get them out there. We pay, and they did help, and it was huge help. As far as sight lines and that stuff and the road structure, I know Wes has talked on that. They are putting in a bunch of drains along shoulders and bleeding off in those tough spots, ensure that we keep them dry to hold the road. I know there has been talk on that. Again, I don't want to answer too much for public works, but I know that came up in regards with this. And as far as the county roads, again, I sit on the county Rhonda is familiar, Hugh. That is a very stingent, tough one. We get our fingers slapped too, and we're watched from the province on how stop signs are put in. And it's just not as simple as putting stop signs on county roads and these rural roads. There's quite the methodology used. So again, that's something Public Works is going to have to hinge on and answer, but it isn't just as quick as putting them up. There is quite the criteria behind that. I know that. So I do feel they're going to build the road, and they are concerned with certain areas that do have frost and getting them dry. There has been a lot of talk of that. So I'll just put that there for tonight, but we're probably going to have to get a report. Can't help us, so thanks.
I'm just going to jump in there. So regarding sight lines, the two intersections that you guys brought up being 104 and 102, at 104, we are going to lower that intersection and we're going to place more material either side of that intersection just to improve that the grade there. And similarly to 102, in the valley there, we're going to try and build that up. And obviously we're not going to put any further gravel up on the top of that hill. Hopefully that'll kind of eliminate or at least minimize any of the sightline issues there. So those two things are being done for sure. And those are in the works here now.
Okay, anyone else with any questions for these, Andrew?
No, thanks very much for coming and and talking with us. I kind of ran out of room here, writing all the good points down. Yeah, we definitely safety's the primary thing here. So there's a bit of time before, and West being on holidays, and Coordinator Collins is doing a good job and is on top of things too. I think the goal for everybody here at the township is safety, right? So we'll always have that in focus for sure. And something Councillor Hurlick touched on was the provincial standards. A lot of times we're along for the ride, right? We're just a creature of the province, so we do what we can within their boundaries, right? Signs, it's an amazing thing, all the signs. And there's some other items that other residents have contacted me about getting extra signage and hidden driveway and this and that. And there's a procedure for that we can relay in a response about purchasing signs the first time. I believe that, I don't want to speak off, I don't think the policy has changed, but you pay for the sign the first time a resident group, and this was talked about in line 29, and then at a later date the sign's installed and the township will upkeep it after that. So there are some measures in case there's specific area that doesn't fall under any of these provisions that can be addressed through some extra signage too. We have the speed signs, which alerts people if they're going too quickly, and of course our friends at the OPP. And they do want to help. I've spoken with them many times for people who didn't want to call, and they're very interested in keeping the roads safe too. So I have a high confidence that yes, there's going to be more traffic, but it is going to be a better situation. So, but like I said, we'll talk about it later as council, and definitely report coming back with, I saw staff writing things down too. So hopefully it's a little more legible than mine, but there's a lot of good points there. Thank you for coming.
Okay, any other questions? Amanda?
More of a comment. Ed, thank you so much for coming before us and outlining some of your concerns. And I know we've sort of talked about getting a staff report, and Jake, thank you for providing some insight into the project. Obviously, Ed has some specific questions. I just want to make sure that whatever report we're getting back addresses some of the concerns that Ed has brought up, just so that he has some of those answers. Anyways, if that can be noted, I think that would be appreciated. Just because the more information we have, that's certainly helpful for those that have expressed some concerns here.
Okay, Andrew?
That's a good point. Can you provide some text of that, Mr. Damon, or of your comments tonight?
Well, we did receive a letter. I think most of Ed's comments are in the letter.
There. Okay, good, perfect, thank you.
Is that correct, Ed?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Would we be able to get a copy of the report when it's complete?
When it is made public in council, it'll be on the agenda, and they could possibly send it to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? If not, oh, Daryl.
No, I don't want to spend too much time here, but just maybe could we just a quick small explanation of funding on this? We got a little bit here from the province here. If we could explain that, maybe Ashley or Teresa, just off the cuff, do you remember a bit how that worked?
Well, my recollection is we got a grant and the rest of the 300 and some thousand, and the balance was going to come out of the Public Works reserves. Is that?
That's,
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. It was almost $400,000 out of the gas tax, and it was allocated to this road. And then the rest is on the tax base.
Okay, any more questions? Nope, see no more questions. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming and making your presentation, and council will look at it some more under new business, and we will get some answers back to you then. Okay, thanks again, and I hope you have a great night. Bye.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay, now we move to our second delegation, and we have Julie Danon, Sarah Wood, and Brent Royce from the Perth County Federation of Agriculture.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Agates and Perth East Council for including us in this evening's meeting for us to bring forth our concerns related to the usage of minister zoning orders. In 2020, PCFA raised concern with the use of MZO within Perth County borders, information which was shared with all Perth area municipalities. PCFA believes the protection of prime agricultural land for agricultural use is of paramount importance. The efforts and time of many people have contributed to the Planning Act, the provincial policy statement, the county official plan, as well as lower tier plans. The requirement of consistency with the PPS, non-agricultural land uses have been directed away from lands which are considered Ontario's richest soils and those most suitable for agriculture. And this thoughtful, well-reasoned approach is what the increased use of MZOs appears poised to take away. OFA has commented that requiring planning authorities to adhere to what is known as the mitigation hierarchy, in which development for non-agricultural use is to be avoided first, minimized second, and mitigated as a last resort in agricultural areas, has been a positive improvement within the province. Such considerations as orderly growth, the availability of services such as electricity, water, sewer, hydro, gas, and public transit are not included in the MZO proposal for discussion. And any limited checks and balances on these considerations, which are currently required under the PPS, are being removed by using an MZO. MZOs overrule local zoning that is built in collaboration with the local community and is consistent with the PPS. MZOs can be enacted to eliminate any local input and are not subject to any appeal mechanisms. Since the start of 2020, the tool has been used 15 times to rezone farmland in the province. In all these instances, the MZO has been used to bypass long-standing processes intended to protect farmland. The issuance of an MZO that is not consistent with the provincial policy statement is short-sighted and weakens the local planning process by providing developers with a workaround that could foster bad planning that will cause either individuals or government to incur cost in dealing with poor outcomes later. Considering that Perth County official plan is not yet complete is not sufficient reason to move forward with an MZO. Good planning takes time and transparency is important. What good is our input to an official plan that no one will follow? By agreeing to the request for an MZO, Perth East has passed Perth County Council and rendered the Perth County official plan useless, without any protection in the future from anyone who decides to do the same as this council. How can Perth East remain members in good standing of Perth County Council and take this path? We have many questions as to how the impacts of any non-agricultural developments will be managed if the MZO goes forward. For example, how will the MDS be applied? How can development be considered good if the planning tools are misused or bypassed with material or context missing? How will surrounding normal farm practices be protected? Will there be public input opportunities so that local considerations can be taken into account? Will there still be a mitigation hierarchy by which our best agricultural lands can still be protected? How will prime agricultural areas be protected for long-term use by agriculture? Will the minister be provided with the same or more information than local authorities to establish that there is an identified need for this additional land to accommodate the proposed use, or that alternative locations have been evaluated to determine there is no reasonable alternative locations which avoid agricultural areas? How will compatibility with surrounding use be managed? These are important questions for our members and our constituents. On September 15th, 2020, your council approved a temporary use bylaw amendment on D14-Z12-2020 for where the planning report indicates the owners of the subject property are intending to establish an industrial subdivision on the subject property and have advised they are in the process of finalizing applications for official plan amendment and draft plan of subdivision to the County of Perth. We are wondering what has happened since then, September, that an MZO is now the preferred option to apply for instead of working through the official plan amendment process. The application includes mention of further applications for official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and draft plan of subdivision are to follow for these subject lands for the same land use as part of a comprehensive development of employment lands. The application included a planning justification report that references an environmental impact study being prepared by Dan Center Environmental, site servicing strategy report, a preliminary stormwater assessment report, and a traffic impact study. Has Perth East seen these studies, and do you feel comfortable that requirements are met for these proposed developments? For this proposed development. In September, information from K-Smart Associates referred to compliance with the Provincial Policy Statement Section 1.1.1, which states that healthy, livable, and safe communities are sustained by accommodating an appropriate range and mix of employment, including industrial and commercial, and other uses to meet long-term needs, and Section 1.3.2.1 that states that planning authorities shall plan for, protect, and preserve employment areas for current and future uses, and ensure that necessary infrastructure is provided to support current and projected needs. Does Perth East feel that this project also complies with the PPS Section 2.3.1? Prime agricultural areas shall be protected for long-term use for agriculture. There seems to be a great deal of land already set aside around Milwauton that is not developed. Good planning requires infilling. If the intent is for this proposed industrial location is to be included within future Milwauton settlement, what are Perth East's plans for the land between the current Milwauton settlement and this proposed development? Ag-related businesses requiring land to be used is not a reason to bypass the regular planning processes. To state that this project must use an MZO to proceed in a timely manner due to the current official plan review is misleading. The letter to Perth East from K-Smart Associates Limited in your agenda package for the June 22nd states, following a review by county staff and multiple calls, meetings, it was determined that the application package could not be deemed complete, yet an alternate approach to amending both the county and Perth East official plans was proposed to pursue an expansion of the Milwauton urban area. The information from the June 22nd meeting shows there's still an option within the official plan process for this project to pursue without an MZO. Perth County Federation of Agriculture appreciates the need to support local businesses and their growth opportunities. However, these additions to our communities need to be carefully planned through the current plan channels for input. PCFA is opposed to the Perth East Council decision to support the request for an MZO. Therefore, PCFA asks the Perth East to reconsider support for a minister's zoning order for 6332 Perth Road 131 Perth East. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional questions from council? We're not going to answer the questions right now that they asked. We will discuss them later in the meeting. But is there any additional questions anyone would like to ask at this point? Nope, see no questions. We do thank you for coming and bringing this to our attention, and we will deal with it under new business in our meeting, and then we can let you know what the decision of council is.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, have a great night. Okay, we're now moving on to a public meeting. I declare this virtual public meeting to be open. This virtual public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by New Star Rental and Equipment Limited, Concession 7, Part Lot P as RP 44R3903, Part 1, RP 44R3499, Part 8, Mornington Ward 4487, Perth Line 72. This virtual meeting is an opportunity for the township to advise the public of the purpose and intent of the amendment and receive their input prior to considering adoption of an implementing bylaw. If a bylaw to implement the zoning Amendment, a notice of passing will be forwarded by prepaid first-class mail to various agencies of interest and others who have requested notice. An appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal objecting to the adoption of the bylaw may be filed with the clerk not later than the date stated on the notice. Any person attending the meeting who wishes to receive written notice of a bylaw passed to implement the amendment is asked to give their name and mailing address to the clerk following this meeting. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested by email following the meeting. Due to COVID-19, public meeting procedures have been adjourned to adhere to provincial guidelines for holding electronic meetings. Any person who wished to be heard regarding this matter was asked to register prior to this meeting by the deadline of Monday, July 5, 2021 at 12 noon with the municipal clerk. I will now call on Perth County Planner Susanna Reed to present the planning report and recommendations. Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mary Egots. So this application is an application for rezoning. The property is in Newton, and I'll just share my screen so you can see the location of the property. So this is an air photo provided by the developer's consultant showing the location of the property within Newton. And this is an air photo prepared by the county showing the zoning on the property. So I'm guessing that most people will be familiar with the property. It's currently owned by New Star Rental and Equipment Limited. They rent agricultural and construction equipment, including aerial booms, and there are a number of aerial booms parked. Photos are in the planning report. So the what the application is for, the current owners have entered into an agreement of purchase and sale with All Star Metals. All Star Metals is fabricates metal roofing. So in order to proceed with the new development, zoning bylaw amendment is required to change the zoning from a hamlet village commercial zone to an industrial zone. So the purpose of tonight's public meeting is simply to host a public meeting in order to receive comments from the public. And the planning recommendation is that comments be received and that council not make a decision with regards to the application tonight. I'll just walk through the planning comments at a high level to apprise you of the planning issues. So the property is designated village in the Perth County official plan. It's about 3.8 acres in size, and the developer is proposing to develop the property in 2 phases. I'll just share my screen again. So this is an air photo provided by the developer's consultant showing the subject property. And this is an existing building on the site. And there is a second building. The footprint of the building is here, and you can see through the shadow of the air photo that currently it's located here. So phase 1 of the proposed development by All Star Metals is to use the existing buildings only. During phase 1, the property will be used, or the business will be open from Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, and Saturdays, 8 to 12. They plan to employ 10 people during this time. During phase 2, and my understanding is that the timing of phase 2 is not certain at this point, they're proposing to construct an additional building being 31,000 square feet and expand their manufacturing operation. The village, the industrial policies in the village settlement area section of the official plan review the planning issues that are to be considered at such time that the township is considering a zoning bylaw amendment to allow an industrial use within a settlement area. And those planning issues are reviewed in the planning report that council has in the package tonight. So considerations are the scale of the use. Is the scale appropriate for the village of Newton? Servicing, the property would be proposed to be on private services, a private well and septic system, and a functional servicing report has been provided in order to consider the servicing of the site, and also compatibility with adjacent land uses. So with regards to adjacent land uses, I'll go into this in a little bit more detail as the township has received correspondence from a neighboring property owner. I'll just share the screen to show you the location of that site. So Ms. Hoyle, who lives here, adjacent to the proposed development, has provided correspondence, and the comments, I believe, are in your package, outlining a number of concerns that she has with regards to the development. The planning policies provide direction for council and to consider new industrial land uses, and of consideration are noise as well as air quality. With regards to noise, the developer has prepared a noise impact assessment by Burnside Engineering and has considered the impact of noise on the neighboring land uses. There are 3 residences within the range of that the provincial guidelines require that consideration be made for noise. The property to the east has been identified by Burnside. So this residence here has been identified by Burnside as the noise levels exceed the provincial guidelines with the modeling for the proposed use by All Star Metals. And as such, there is a 30-meter long, 1.8 meter high noise barrier fence proposed on the east lot line. There is also an existing fence that runs along this lot line. So in addition to the fence, a noise barrier is proposed here in order to ensure that the noise levels are meet the provincial requirements at this neighboring residential use. As I received comments from the neighboring property owners in advance of the public meeting, I had communications with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks in order to be apprised with regards to the environmental approvals for air quality as well. And at the ministry's direction, I followed up with the consultant to request correspondence regarding the ability of the development to satisfy the Ministry of Environment's requirements with regards to environmental approvals, and have subsequently received additional correspondence from Burnside Engineering this afternoon with further information. Finally, then the planning, the application for rezoning requests or proposes a reduced number of uses, so restricts the uses that are proposed in the industrial zone. And this is considered appropriate for the subject site, so that only the use that is considered, I should broaden that a little bit, that the industrial use of manufacturing of roofing materials, including assembling, processing, construction, finishing, shipping, wholesaling, storing, and warehousing, is recognized as a permitted use in the special zone. And limiting the uses on the subject site is appropriate given the proximity to neighboring sensitive residential uses, so that any further consideration of industrial uses would require a rezoning at that time. And just of note, the rezoning that is being considered at tonight's public meeting, or is being discussed at tonight's public meeting, would permit both phase 1 and phase 2 of the development. Then I also want to make note that the planning department, that there is an existing site plan for the property, which was required for New Star Rentals and Equipment, and the planning department is recommending that the site plan, if council proceeds to approve the bylaw in the future, that the site plan be amended in order to address concerns that were raised by neighboring property owners. So just turning now to the correspondence from Ms. Horley, the concerns are with regards to noise, smell, or air quality, as well as stormwater management. I think that concludes my comments, and I would be available to answer any questions from council. Just before I pass it to you, Mary Guts, I just want to touch base on the recommendations. So there are three. First, that council receive the report. Second, that council receive comments from the public meeting. And that doesn't require any action on council's part. It's simply to note that from the planning department's perspective, because comments have been received from neighboring property owners, we believe it's appropriate to simply hold a public meeting and not make a decision at this point, to allow staff the opportunity to work with the neighboring property owner and the developer to see if it's possible to address the issues. So no action is required from council with regards to the second recommendation. And then finally, the third recommendation is that council directs staff to prepare a subsequent report. So after exploring possibilities for addressing the neighbors' concerns, that staff return to council with a recommendation regarding this application. Those are all my comments.
Okay, thanks, Susanna. So we do have Mary Horrell registered to make a presentation to speak in opposition of the application. Mary, are you there?
She is here, Rhonda. They just,
Okay.
oh, I think she's
Mary?
unmuted now.
Good evening, Mary. Are you,
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Hurley. I live at the property northwest side of New Star, across from Mitchell Mill System. Baker Planning Group does not include me as a residential property in their plans. Some more concerns are water, building, large, no room for snow, noise, day or night, with door open or not, possible shift work, noise with pickup and delivery trucks, also machines, presses, other labor. Odor from chemicals, processes. I am concerned about proposed zone changes. I am unaware of how their new business will impact the item that I've mentioned before. I feel more investigation should be done before approval. I gave a letter to the township July the 2nd. It was stamped for me. Hope you all were able to read it. Please solve these problems. Could I please have a copy of your conclusion? Thank you for your time.
okay, thank you, Mary. Registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. Caroline Baker, agent, requested to speak with respect to application D14Z07 2021 PE. Caroline, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. No, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Ms. Reed did provide an excellent overview, and certainly just will add a few additional comments. Baker Planning Group is representing both the current owner of the property, being New Star Rentals and Equipment, as well as the purchasers of the property, being All Star Metals. They have entered into an agreement of purchase and sale, and as such have filed the zone change application. As noted, All Star Metal manufactures metal roofing and has outgrown its current operation in Perth County. They require a new site with expansion opportunity in the community. I would note the business does not include any welding or any painting, which would minimize potential concerns regarding air contaminants expressed by area residents. In the interim stage, All Star Metals is proposing to use the subject property as it exists, including the existing parking areas, the existing building, as well as the existing outdoor storage. They have, however, considered in the future that they would like to expand and grow, and wanted to make sure those intentions were known by both staff and council. In our opinion, the subject property provides an excellent opportunity to utilize existing industrial commercial development with the required supporting facilities, parking areas, and transportation access. For the proposed new user, outdoor storage is proposed for pallets of roofing material, But I would note that extensive outdoor storage does exist on the property with the display of rental machinery. As noted, a zone change application has been applied for to permit this particular use. While the industrial zone, being the M1, has been requested, we have proposed on behalf of the owner and the applicant to limit the range of uses on the site, again, to address any potential concerns related to noise, odor, air, or access. In support of the application, we did prepare a planning justification report, and there was a noise study and servicing report. I would note all of these reports considered both the interim scenario of All Star Metals utilizing the existing facility with no on-site changes, as well as their ultimate plans for building expansion. The noise study did conclude that a 30-meter noise wall is required along the eastern property line to meet the applicable Ministry of the Environment regulations, and that would be installed prior to the business opening on the site. So that would be required even in the interim phase. And upon receipt of the comments from the neighbor and further discussions with planning staff, the project engineers provided a review of the Ministry of Environment process should the zoning be approved and the business can open on the site. So should the zoning be approved, they would go through, it's called an environmental activity and sector registry application. This is an online submission where the owners would provide engineered reports to demonstrate compliance with noise and air contaminants. Ms. Reed is correct that RJ Burnside provided a letter today, and in that they did conclude in their professional opinion that they believe the current noise study, as well as the nature of the business itself, should be sufficient to address the requirements of this environmental activity and sector registry and the requirements of the ministry. I would note that we have had an opportunity to review the letter of concern from the neighbor to the west. Just as a point of clarification, even though the property to the west is zoned agricultural in the Perth zoning bylaw, it was considered as a residential use and a sensitive receptor for the noise study. And in my opinion, the concerns of the neighbors have been addressed firstly through RJ Burnside's confirmation on noise and air emissions and compliance with ministry requirements. And as well, it's been noted that a site plan amendment application will be required to address grading and stormwater management. I understand there was some concerns from the neighbor about ongoing flooding, and this would certainly be reviewed as part of a site plan application. That concludes my comments for the moment, but would be happy to answer any questions that may arise. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. Are there any questions from members of council? Jerry?
Thanks everyone for this presentation. As Ms. Baker mentioned and Planner Reed did as well, the site plan will be updated, the New Star site plan. Is this common practice? This is kind of a significant rebuild, I guess. You're taking down the one building and adding a new one. Is it common practice just to update a current site plan? I would think we would need a new site plan agreement because again, it's a significant, there's the flooding concerns of the neighbors. Is this common?
Through the mayor, if I might start to answer, and certainly Ms. Reed can clarify further. I appreciate your comment because it allows me the opportunity to give some clarification that in the first phase of the owners moving to the site, there's actually no modification proposed to the existing building. So they intend to use the existing building. They intend to use the existing parking area and driveway accesses that are currently gravel. The changes required for the business to move there are limited to the noise wall along the eastern property line and committing to a review of the existing grading and stormwater management issues in light of comments from the neighbor. So they're looking to improve the overall situation on the property through the site plan. And and Ms. Reed can certainly speak to a site plan amendment versus a new site plan. It still has the same requirements of a lot grading and drainage plan. It still has the requirements of a site plan agreement and securities. So in terms of addressing potential concerns of neighbors or the overall impact of the development, it achieves the same goal. The only reason it's called an amendment is because there is an existing site plan on file. So we have to delete that and replace it because we can't have two different site plans registered on the property. But it doesn't by any way mean that there is less review or comment on behalf of the municipality.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Hugh?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to meet again until about August the 10th, I believe. That's a long time. Would everything be able to be wrapped up by then? Like, I wouldn't want this to be dragged out for forever. Just hopefully that it could be, there could be a recommendation by August the 10th anyway. Is that possible?
Through the mayor, part of that will be, of course, municipal staff and county staff's time with certainly with applications. From my perspective, the issues from the neighbor largely relate to concerns of noise and air emission, as well as flooding. And we're hopeful that the confirmation of compliance with Ministry of the Environment, as well as an agreement to undertake site plan for flooding, will assist in addressing and or alleviating some of their concerns. So we would look to staff to confirm if that's satisfactory to move forward with a recommendation report to council in August.
Okay, I just don't want it to drag out forever, that's all.
That is appreciated, thank you.
Susanna, would you like to comment on the last two questions?
Certainly. With regards to the site plan amendment, I would simply echo Ms. Baker's comments that from the perspective of the township, new application is essentially the same as a site plan amendment. And in this case, there is a site plan in place. So we would be working with the developer in order to incorporate the changes that have been identified both by the developer's proposal and by the review of township staff to date. And then we would also be reaching out to the township's engineer, BM Ross, in order to provide direction to the developer to respond to the comments about flooding and stormwater management that the neighboring property owner has identified. So the noise burn would be something else that would be incorporated into the site plan, as well as the we would also be incorporating the implementation recommendations from the noise impact assessment report prepared by Burnside. And we have I've also had preliminary conversations with Ms. Baker with regards to a possible hedge that would provide both an acoustic and a visual barrier on the west side of the property, which may assist with comments received from the neighboring property owner. So I think that I look forward essentially to working with Ms. Baker on the site plan. With regards to the August 10th date, I think it will, I mean, that would be our hope. How about that? Depending on staff availability in the summertime, and working with BM Ross in order to respond to concerns with regards to flooding. I think I also want to make sure that we are respectfully responding to the comments from the neighboring property owner, and ensuring that her concerns are adequately considered and incorporated into the recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Jeremy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, my comment was pertaining to the wall or the berm that would go on the west side. And I think Planner Reed kind of answered it here, but the west side is showing a 1.8 by 30 meter wall, and nothing on the east side until the comments recently. And that east side property seems to be a heck of a lot closer to any of the buildings than the west side. So my question was about, what are we doing on the west side to stop some of that sound from getting across with the industrial use? presumably a hedge isn't going to provide the same, level of buffer as that wall would, but I guess we need to take the professional opinion for what it is. But it just seems strange to me until you mentioned that we had something on something on the east side, but nothing on the west side, where the house is a heck of a lot closer to the property line.
Do you mind if I clarify the reasoning for that from a technical perspective through the mayor? You are correct. There is a noise wall recommendation on the east side and not on the west. The matter of the hedgerow was based on discussions with Ms. Reed to address the neighbors' concerns from a visual standpoint as opposed to noise. It wasn't intended that the hedgerow was attenuating noise levels. The reason there's a noise wall required on the east side is because of where the bay doors are located on the property and where outside forklift may be used. And that will be on the east side of the property. And in the noise modeling prepared by the engineers, based on the location of the bay doors, the interior operations, and the forklift, the noise levels on the west side were within the ministry's guideline for a sensitive receptor being a residential property. And maybe just to assist, the noise levels that have to be attenuated too, so the noise levels that we have to address and ensure the noise levels at the sensitive receptor are actually lower than the sound level of two people carrying on a conversation. So the test is quite high in terms of the noise level that can be generated and acceptable to be in proximity to a sensitive use.
And the current use, is there a baseline for the sound that's going on there now?
Because the use
Proposed use compare
through the mayor, because the current use is permitted through zoning, there wasn't necessarily base level readings. It may or may not be higher. I can say that it is an industrial commercial use and there is currently no attenuation, but I can't speak to how they operate their business in terms of how you move equipment, what type of equipment you move. It all is very instrumental in determining the noise level. So it may be an overall improvement. It may be the same, but I think the important point is that the proposed use does meet the ministry guidelines for adjacent residential properties.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from council members? I just have one for clarification. So we can approve the application and all the concerns will be addressed in the site plan? Or the other one is you want to bring a report back. So what is the report going to do different than what's going to be in the site plan, just so that we're all clear on what's going on?
Would you like me to take this question?
Yes, please.
It would give us the benefit of time in order to speak with the neighboring property owner and ensure that her concerns are adequately addressed.
And would they not be addressed in the site plan? Through the site plan, would they not still be addressed the same way?
I guess it seems premature for me because I haven't had the opportunity to have conversations with the neighboring property owner.
Okay.
I think.
Any, Daryl?
Yeah, just sitting here, taking everything in. It's definitely a lot of concerns here. That being said, this report is pretty well done. There's been some good time put into it. The noise is a big one. The shop owners cleared up the smell in that right away. Look, at the end of the day, if something comes out of this, I believe we're going to be on the hook. Regardless, we're going to have to ask and answer some questions. I think there's been a lot of groundwork done here and a lot's been cleared up for me here. I don't want to trump on anybody, but being a business owner myself, I understand, people want to go forward. I don't want to trump Susanna. That being said, boy, a lot's been answered here and there's been a lot of work put into this. I think I know where I stand. I think I'd like to go forward, but I'll leave it open for more debate.
Okay, are there any other questions from council at this time? If not, then bylaw number 207-2021 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered at a later date. This virtual public meeting is now concluded and will continue with your regular meeting of council. Okay, so in council, we are on 7.1.1. We do have a resolution, but procedurally, we need the resolution to either approve, deny, or defer. And there's none of those words in the resolution at all. So procedurally, we either add one of those or we don't have a resolution at all. We just move on and it will be mentioned in the minutes that we had a public meeting. What does council wish to do? Andrew?
Well, I believe the correct action is defer until, sorry, am I all staticky? Defer until August 10th meeting after planning staff reviews the concerns with the local residents.
Okay, so we could add in the last one that council defer the application and direct staff to prepare a subsequent report to bring, which is to be brought back by August 10th. Is that what you wish? Okay. So do we have a seconder for that? Daryl? So moved by Andrew. Second by Daryl. So the motion will say that the Council of the Township of Perth East received a report dated July 6, 2021, prepared by the planner entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment number Z07-2021-PE, submitted by All Star Meadows Kara James Weber, affecting lands described as Concession 7, Part Lot 9, Reference Plan 44R-3903, Part 1, 4478, Perth Line 72, Newton, Township of Perth East. That council received comments from the public meeting regarding the zoning bylaw amendment Z07-2021-PE, affecting lands described as Concession 7, Part Lot 9, Reference Plan 44R-3903, Part 1, 4478, Perth Line 72, Newton, Township of Perth East, held at the public meeting as part of the July 6, 2021 council meeting, excuse me, and that council defer the recommendation and direct staff to prepare a subsequent report by August 10th with a recommendation regarding zoning bylaw amendment Z07-2021-PE, affecting lands described as Concession 7, Part Lot 9, Reference Plan 44R-3903, Part 1, 4478, Perth Line 72, Newton, Township of Perth East. So we have that moved by Andrew and second by Daryl. Is there any more questions of council? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll move on to planning and development. The first one is a zoning bylaw amendment by Samuel and Mary Zare. And Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mayor Egatz. As this application will be familiar to council, the public meeting was held on May 18th. The application is submitted by Samuel and Mary Zare, and at the May 18th public meeting, there was also a consideration of an official plan amendment. The official plan amendment has now been forwarded to County Council and approved, so we're returning at this point with a zoning bylaw amendment. This property is east of Millbank. The 911 address is 3942 Perth Line 72, and the applicants would like to have an accessory home industrial use on the subject property, and their intention is to repackage and distribute hay bales for small pets, guinea pigs, gerbils, and rabbits, those types of animals. The property is currently zoned HVR-1, Hamlet Village Residential -1, and is proposed to be amended to HVR-51 in order to allow for this accessory use. Since the May 18th public meeting and discussion with regards to the rezoning. There has been one change to the zoning bylaw amendment. I'll just share my screen. So again, Baker Planning Group is the consultant acting for this file as well. And Carolyn has provided a site plan of the property. This is the proposed building for the home industrial use. And the setback when the application was considered in May was 21.4 meters to the north lot line. And that has changed now in order to accommodate the tile bed and the required distance to the tile bed to 18.5 meters. So at the May 18th meeting, council continued with the first and second reading of the zoning bylaw amendment at the planning department's recommendation. The planning department is now recommending that the first and second reading of the zoning bylaw amendment be repealed. Then second, that a resolution be passed subsequent to section 3417 of the Planning Act. And that finally council approve all readings of the revised zoning bylaw amendment in order to change that the north setback to 18 meters from 20 meters.
Okay, thanks, Susanna. Is there any questions from members of council? Seeing no questions, we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive a report dated July 6, 2021, prepared by the planner entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment number Z03-2021-PE, submitted by Samuel and Mary Zaire, affecting lands described as part of Lot 18, Concession 7, Mornington Ward, Part 2, 44R, 1409, 3942, line 72, Millbank, Township of Perth East for information. And that council repel bylaw 203-2021, being a zoning bylaw amendment for Samuel and Mary Zaire, affecting lands described as part of Lot 18, Concession 7, Mornington Ward, Part 2, 44R, 1409, 3942, line 72, Millbank, Township of Perth East, and that council pass a resolution pursuant to section 34 in bracket 17 of the Planning Act, indicating that no further circulation is required, and that council approves zoning bylaw amendment number 227-2021. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Jerry, second by Jeremy. Any more comments or questions? Jerry?
Just a comment. We have so many businesses in this great township, Beaucharts, Animes, I can go on and on and on. Now we're going to have a business that produces little hay bales for pet rabbits, pet gerbils. I love it. So I'm looking forward to that. Excellent.
Thanks, Jerry. Okay, any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the next item is the modification of a draft plan of condominium. Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mary. You guys, this property is in Milwauton. It's the owner is Southside Estates, and it's being developed for residential purposes. There was a plan of subdivision that received final approval in October 2006, and I'll just share my screen because I think it will help illustrate what is happening here. So this is the cul-de-sac at the end of Murray Court. And you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks here. All 4 of these blocks are being developed for small apartment buildings. Block 21 has a small apartment building on it now, 6 units. Block 22 is just currently being developed for a 6-unit apartment building, and 12-unit apartment buildings are proposed for Block 19 and Block 17. So these blocks were initially created through a plan of subdivision. And then following the plan of subdivision in 2020, September 2020, there was a following application for a plan of condominium for these 4 blocks. After the condominium was approved, so that would allow the sale of every unit in each of these apartment buildings. It's the intention of a plan of condominium. Following the approval of the plan of condominium, Southside Estates conveyed this lot to to another owner. So at this point, the owner of the property has submitted an application to modify the plan of condominium, which is in draft approval at this point. So a modification is possible to remove block 21, which would mean that the blocks that would remain in the plan of condominium would be block 22, 19, and 17. County Council is the approval authority for modifications to condominiums. So this is being brought to Perth East Council for your information. And the recommendation is that the council recommend to the County of Perth Council that this modification be approved as requested.
Okay, thanks, Susanna. Is there any questions on this report? Jerry?
Another comment. Thanks, Susanna. From what I see and what I've talked to the developer, that these are going to be rental apartments. Just want that confirmed. I'm pretty sure that's what is going to happen with these.
Just block 21, actually, just the unit that's developed so far. That has been sold, and that will be they are rental units now. The other blocks are proposed to be condo units.
Okay, yep, great, thank you.
So that's the 6 unit and 2 12 units.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Somebody left the door open at my house. There's a million flies. If you wonder what I'm swatting at, they're driving me nuts. Anyway, Council of the Township of Perth East received a report entitled Modification of Draft Plan of Condominium by Southside Estates affecting property described as blocks 17, 19, 21, and 22 on registered plan 44M-58 in the Township of Perth East, 20, 25, 28, and 33 Murray Court, Milwauton Ward, dated July 6, 2021, prepared by the planner for information, and that Council of the Township of Perth East recommend to Perth County Council that the application for the modification to draft plan of condominium by Southside Estates, Inc., affecting property described as blocks 17, 19, 21, and 22 on registered plan 44M-58 in the Township of Perth East, 20, 25, 28, and 33 Murray Court, Milwauton be approved. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Jeremy, second by Hugh. Is there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, do you have anything else, Susanna?
I do not.
Nope. Okay, thank you. We will now move to clerk, and the first is a tender opening for the Miles Schaefer Municipal Drain. Ashley, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. The Court of Revision did meet prior to this meeting and upheld the assessment schedule. So I'm still okay to move forward with the recommendation and can answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions? No, the Council of the Township of Perth East award the tender for construction of the Miles Schaefer Municipal Drain 2021 to Van Bree Drainage and Bulldozing Limited with their submission of $109,207 excluding taxes only upon satisfactory resolution to all appeals before the Court of Revision. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Daryl, second by Jerry. Is there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the next one is the Stock Municipal Drain. Ashley?
Okay, thank you. Again, the Court of Revision met before this meeting and upheld the assessment schedule, so I'm okay to move forward with the recommendation and can answer if there's any questions.
Okay, any questions? No? Okay, Council of the Township of Perth East award the tender for construction of the Stock Municipal Drain 2021 to Robinson Farm Drainage with their submission of $46,742 excluding taxes only upon satisfactory resolution to all appeals before the Court of Revision. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the next is the release of the obligations of the subdividers agreement for the John Gerber construction subdivision. Ashley?
Okay, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. I don't have anything further to add to this report. It's not often that council would see one of these, but it's more of a housekeeping item, being says the original agreement was with the village of Milwauton, but I can answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, is there any questions for Ashley? Seeing no questions, Council of the Township of Perth East received a report entitled John Gerber Construction Limited Release from Obligations of a Subdividers Agreement dated July 6, 2021 for information, and that Council approve and authorize the Mayor and Clerk to sign bylaw 34-2021, being a bylaw to release John Gerber Construction Limited from the obligations of a Subdividers Agreement. Moved by Jerry. Second by Amanda. Are there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, anything else, Ashley?
Nope, that's everything. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We have nothing from finance. We do have Public Works request for proposal results for biosolids removal and disposal. And Jake, the floor is yours.
Mayor Rigetts. So this is for the sludge removal from our primary aeration cell there at the lagoon in Milwauton. It was a matter of time. Essentially, it was emptied out in 2015, actually by the same contractor we're recommending. They submitted, in my opinion, the better proposal, and they are the lowest cost as well. And we're very familiar working with them. So.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Any questions for Jake? No. Okay, that Council of the Township of Perth East received a report entitled Request for Proposal Results RFP-PW-2021-01 Biosolids Removal and Disposal dated July 6, 2021, prepared by the Manager of Public Works and Parks for information, and it confirmed by this resolution. Request for proposal RFP-PW-2021-01 for the removal and disposal of biosolids from the Milwauton Lagoon facility be awarded to Ontario Greenways Inc. OGI. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Daryl. Second by Jeremy. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and your second item is a speed limit on Road 129 in Newton. Jake?
So this one obviously came from some correspondence that was received at last meeting of council. It was regarding speeds coming into Newton from the south as you head towards line 72. There is no maximum speed sign there as of now. And upon investigation, we actually looked at the north side as well. There isn't a speed sign there either. We're recommending that we put in a maximum 60 kilometers per hour speed sign either side of Newton coming into town. And then additionally, as you are exiting either way, just 60 ends either side.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Any questions from council? Okay, so what does council wish to do? We have a blank there what council wants to do. Jeremy?
Yeah, under the comments, it does say recommend that upon council approval, a maximum 60 begins and ends be placed in the following two locations. So basically, I would just take the second paragraph of the comment section and move that.
Okay.
The second paragraph and the two bullet points.
Okay. All right, you want to move that, Jeremy?
Yeah, putting the two 60 zone signs in and then 60 ends at both north and south locations.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Daryl? Okay, so the motion will read that the Council of the Township of Perth East received the speed limit Road 129 in Newton, report dated July 6, 2021, prepared by the Manager of Public Works and Parks for information, and that council asks the enforcement of the 60-kilometer speed limit cannot occur. Is that the right one, Jeremy?
Yeah, it'll require a little bit of rewording, but yeah, 60 zone at the edge of the town.
Okay. So 60 zone at the edge of town, and as you leave town again, the sign will say 60 ends here.
Yeah, right. Basically those 2 bullet points. Yeah.
Okay, so on Road 129 south of line 72 in the northbound lane just south of the school property, and on Road 129 north on Perth line 72 in the southbound lane just north of the village limit. Okay, so that clears mud. Okay, so we have it moved by Jeremy, second by Daryl. Is there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, is that it, Jake? Or you have anything more?
That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to building, and we have the proposed amendments to the parking bylaw. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. This report is just administrative changes, just a couple of changes that have happened in Perth East with the fire station in Milwauton and then the Rostock shop there. So really that's it. Any questions in regards to this? I'm here.
Okay, any questions on this report? Andrew? You're muted. Oh,
There we go. Thanks, John, for the report. I'm just I was reading through it and looking at some stuff with stop signs and no parking signs. Just to clarify, it says temporary signs can be put up under Public Works Manager. I don't want to put you on the spot. If I can need to call you later or something, I can. But is that something that's a council decision where no parking signs go, or can that just be done by Public Works if they feel the need, like a permanent no parking or no stopping zone? Offhand, or if not, I can contact you later.
Yeah, my understanding, I would need to get it in writing, and then council would receive an agenda, and then we would do a report. So if you were wanting a sign somewhere.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, any other? Hugh, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, on page 291, 8.6.1, it says number 14, it's powers of entry and inspection. This is a parking bylaw, so I'm not sure what the entry and the inspection is. And if you need to, if you want to bring that up at a future council meeting, that's fine.
Yeah, I can go a little bit on it. I don't know the history on why it was in the bylaw. That would have been done at a previous stage, but that's just like any bylaw where if we need access to the property, it's not in a building or a house or something like that. It's just access to the property, and in this case, it's usually just at the street side. So just because it's a parking bylaw, so that's really all it is. If you want more detail on that, then we can chat after, and then I can get you more info on that.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
Okay, Ashley?
I just seen that Bill put his hand up too, so he was maybe going to say this, but part of the reason why that's in there as well is the fire routes. So not all of the properties that are listed here are owned by the township. So this gives access if somebody's parked on a fire route, say at a school or one of the nursing homes. That's found on page 297, the list of those. And maybe Bill wants to add more. Sorry, Bill.
No, you summed it up perfectly. Thanks.
Scary when she can read your mind. Okay, do we have any other questions? Seeing no questions. Okay, Council of the Township of Perth East received the proposed amendments to the parking bylaw report prepared by the Chief Building Official, CBO, dated July 6, 2021, for information. Council approve housekeeping amendments, bylaw 73, 2016, being a parking bylaw, and that council adopt bylaw 35-2021, being a bylaw to amend the parking bylaw. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Jerry. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, do you have anything else, John?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have nothing from fire. Correspondence, we have a letter from Mr. Matheson requesting that we have a road closure for the annual Moonlight Madness event. Are there any questions on that? Correspondence? No. Okay, so the Council of the Township of Perth East received the correspondence from Jeremy Matheson, President, Milwauton Business Association, received June 29, 2021, regarding the annual Moonlight Madness event on August 19, 2021, road closure request for information. That council approved the temporary closure of Main Street, Milwauton, between George Street at the north end and Grove Street at the south end on Thursday, August 19 at 5:45 p.m. until 11 p.m., ensuring required health guidelines and protocols are in place and in order to accommodate the annual Moonlight Madness event, and that large vehicles will detour around Milwauton by way of line 61, road 136, and line 67, and that the certificate of insurance state that the Corporation of Township of Perth East and the County of Perth be added as an additional insured, but only with respects to their interest in the operation of the named insured. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Daryl, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we are down to the mayor's meeting log. You saw my where I was in the last month. Any questions on what I've done? Nope. Okay, does anyone else have any reports that they wish to bring forward at this time? Jerry?
Just a quick verbal from the library. The library opened on this week for in-person, all the protocols in place. So good work to the library CAO and their staff. So that's good news.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. Anyone else have anything they wish to bring forward? Nope, so that we have a motion that we accept the mayor's meeting log dated June 2021 and the verbal reports by members of council be approved. Moved by Jeremy, second by Daryl. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, so with your permission, we're going to move the bylaws down in the agenda to after closed session, and we're going to move closed session down, and we're going to jump down right now to notice of motions. Are there any notice of motions that anyone wishes to bring forward? No, okay. Then we have new business, and we did have 2 items of new business tonight. The first item was in regards to line 33. We had 3 gentlemen, Ed Dane, Greg Lease, and Gavin Albrecht with us. Is there, what would council like to do with that? Andrew?
Yes, I'd like staff to prepare, council agrees, staff to prepare a report with Mr. Ganon's letter and the comments made tonight about their concerns on the safety issues.
Okay. Do you want to move that, Andrew? Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Amanda? Okay, anyone else have comments? Daryl?
Maybe just add the type of pavement. I know there was some concerns that we're doing a good quality paved job and not half-assed, and I know that's why Brent was involved. There's going to be a new farm in place, or whatever you want to call that, but just maybe clarify what the pavement putting down is. There'll be a name for the recycle. I know it's a new product, but just get Wes or the public works to clear that up.
Yeah, they should. I think that question was in their report, was it not? So they can, staff can bring that back in the report.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, anyone else have any comments or questions on this? So the Council of the Township of Perth East received a presentation from Ed Danon, Greg Lease, and Gavin Albrecht, residents along line 33 between Road 107, Perth Oxroad Road, Shakespeare, paving of the gravel section of line 33 for information, and that staff bring a report back in regards to their presentation and questions they had. Okay, clear as mud. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the other item on new business was the Federation of Agriculture. We had Julie Danon, Sarah Wood, and Brant Royce make a presentation. What would council like to do with this presentation? Jerry?
Receive for information.
Okay, moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. Is there any more comments or questions? Amanda?
Just want to make a comment. Appreciate them bringing this delegation forward, and just again for those who might tune in after the fact or listening right now, council voted unanimously on supporting this, and speaking from my parents are Perth Federation of Agriculture members. We're active in the farming community, and there's a few of us on council that are Federation members that are farmers, and I would say that this is a bit of a unique situation that we've wasn't taken lightly, and I would say that we wouldn't be making decisions that would be harmful to the ag industry as primary producers ourselves, and also again for those who might be tuning in, from my understanding, there are agro businesses that have expressed intention of being part of this industrial park, so that would certainly support some of the policy that the Ontario Federation of Agriculture has outlined with their path to prosperity and supporting the spin-off industries that support our industry. We are in a situation where we have businesses that have left, and we are just focused on retaining what we have. We don't want those agribusinesses to leave because certainly that could be very detrimental to the farming community that supports, that relies on them, and also other businesses that are coming forward in rural Ontario. We live in a rural area, and we want to see them thrive. So just wanted to make those comments. I know that they have a few other things that they outlined, and I know myself and I think a few others on council have actually had phone conversations trying to answer some of those questions. So I think they've really been covered off, but I just wanted to take a moment to outline what I noted and the fact that there are farmers on council. And I think this is really important for the township. We definitely need this for maintaining our diversity and supporting not only agribusinesses, but other small businesses that, either want to grow here or come to Perth East.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Daryl, did you have comments?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I know it's always a concern, again, as a farmer here, always looking in. That being said, as an open market farmer and somebody who always has had to work off farm and subsidize farm to make it go and keep the family fed, I understand what it's like to be able to have a good job in a community and a job that pays well. And we've been ripped off in Perth East. Not by anybody's fault, it's just happened. I look at Perth East in general, the amount of expansion that's happened on this side of the county in the last 100 years. Yes, there's been expansion, but nothing huge anywhere in any of our hamlets or any of our towns. Yes, there's been expansion, but I look at production. My father always tells me he remembers the 30, 40 bushel corn. I'm looking at 200 bushel corn average, or I'm pretty upset. That's eightfold increase, eightfold. So again, we have to respect our land. I get it. I'm a farmer, but we can budge a little too. And this natural heritage study, it's dragging and dragging and dragging. COVID has done that. What that's going to do, if it goes through the way it is messy. And the reason we can't get things done is because we have to have public meetings and we can't have them. It's up, and right now, again, we're dealing with it at the county. And what that would do and put on people's property, we potentially have hundreds, if not 1,000 letters going out to people whose properties are going to be adjusted and affected if this goes through the way the province, well, not necessarily the province, but the way the ministry has it. We're so tough here. But yeah, again, I just look at the production in the fold of, we're fivefold in crop production from 50 years ago, 60 years ago. In livestock, we can do things so much more efficiency nowadays. We can budge a little when we need to, and a little bit won't hurt nobody. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Andrew?
So I'm not a farmer, but I like to eat. But I'm glad we have a user, like an association, local association that's got a good voice like this and comes and speaks to these important things. And the Northeastern Councillor kind of stole my comment a bit here. It's good because we're going to need them for this natural heritage consultation to keep that going. And it's also one of the primary reasons why I don't see the official plan getting done anytime soon. And I'm just looking mostly from the outside, not beyond county council. So I have no doubt in my mind that this was the right direction to go with this process.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Hugh?
Yeah, if you go to Kitchener, Waterloo, or anywhere, you can, or even Listowel, you see that there's been awful lot of development. I think everybody is making a mistake in the fact that they don't understand that Perth East has no developable land. It's private property. And as such, that individual can choose to wait 20 years if they want to develop it. So then more businesses go to North Perth or they go to Waterloo County. And basically all we want is our just slice of the pie. And as Daryl alluded, farmers are better farmers every year than they were the year before. And the thing was too that they made the comment that the lower tier plans, and that's right. The official plan is made up of 4 lower tier plans. So it might be the Perth plan, but it's our plan. And we do need some businesses like Daryl having to have an off-farm job, as so did I, so that say Councillor Smith's kids, if they want to stay in Milwauton, there's jobs there for them. So I still support moving forward with this. I think it'll be a great development for Perth East and Perth County. the taxes that the county Perth County gets the least amount of taxes from commercial and industrial in any county in Ontario, which makes it very hard for us to balance our taxes when we have so little commercial and industrial development. So I still support this. I understand the loss of farmland. I never like to see it myself either, but in the end, there has to be some development, and I still support this. Thank you.
Thanks, Hugh. Anyone else? Well, I'm going to take a little stab at this one too. The application, just remind everyone, the application is actually by PERCON, not by the municipality, right? The municipality supported their application. So just so everyone is aware of that. We did have a temporary bylaw. There was a public meeting for that a year ago, and council did support that as well. And as one planner did tell me one time, he said, businesses looking for a place to go, good planning is to have all of your businesses in one place instead of driving all over your roads and your municipality. So I too believe that we made the right choice. I too am a farmer, and I am very concerned about taking farmland out of production. But as Daryl said, yes, the crop yields have tripled and quadrupled and tenfolds over the years. So this is a real bonus for Perth East, I believe, that if this development comes to our municipality. So thanks everyone for your comments. And we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the presentation from Julie Danon, Executive Member, Sarah Wood, President, Brent Royce, OFA Zone Director, Perth County Federation of Agriculture, regarding a request to reconsider support for a Minister's zoning order for 6332 Perth Road 131, Perth East, for information. And that's been moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we are going to go, I'm going to read the motion that we're going to go into closed session, and then we're going to have a small break. So the motion is that the regular meeting of Council of the Township of Perth East be temporarily adjourned at 8:57, I need glasses, to permit the holding of a meeting in closed session for the purpose of exceptions pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, HR matters. We have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Andrew. Second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we are going to take a 3-minute break, let's say at 9 or 9:01. We're going to come back. You have another, what am I looking for? Zoom connection to come back in on the next part. And for those who aren't joining us, have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Great seeing everyone. I'm hoping to see most of you tomorrow. So anyway, have a great night and thanks for coming. And council will resume in about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, see you all later. Bye.
Sorry, Mayor, I guess you're on mute if you were talking there.
Okay, so we need a motion that the Council of Township of Perth East rise from the closed session and reconvene to regular session at 9:33. Moved by Carol, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so from closed session, we do have two resolutions. The one being that the council approve hiring an additional landfill transfer station attendant effective August 2021. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second one is that bylaw 36/2021 being a bylaw to authorize civil marriage solemnization services for the Township of Perth East be given 3 readings and bylaw 79-2019 be repealed. We have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Jerry. Second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so then we have the bylaws. We have 4 bylaws. We have bylaw 227-21. It is a bylaw to amend bylaw 30, part lot 18, concession 7, Mornington Ward. We have bylaw 34/2021. It's to release John Gerber Construction from the obligations of subdividers agreement. We have bylaw 35/2021 being a bylaw to regulate traffic and parking, amend bylaw 73-2016. And we have bylaw 36/2021, a bylaw to authorize civil marriage solemnization services for the Township of Perth East to be given 3 readings and bylaw 79/2019 being repealed. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Andrew. Second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then we have the bylaw for tonight, that bylaw 37/2021 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on July 6, 2021 be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the last motion of the night, that the Council of Perth East be adjourned at 9:36. Moved by Andrew, second by Daryl. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks everyone. Great night. A lot of discussion. Oh.
Does that mean we can say whatever we want now? That
You can say whatever you want now. Yep. What kind of comments do you want to say?
Hey, Jeremy, did you get the